In fact, we already know the names of the winners, the Republican Party and its candidate Donald Trump. Key American newspapers, magazines, editorial boards, and publications are reporting that Trump won the election and can now celebrate. In particular, The Hill is already reporting Trump's victory as a fait accompli.
Пише уже про перемогу Трампа як про доконаний факт. Буквально щойно сайт цієї газети, цього ЗМІ.
Just now, the website of this publication updated the data on the support of both candidates, and according to this data, Trump is already gaining 280 electoral votes, i.e. state representatives. 270 votes are enough to win, so Donald Trump has 10 more votes, which gives him a convincing advantage over Kamala Harris, who has 214 electoral votes.
Що цікаво, цього разу у Дональда Трампа також більше і підтримки прямої.
This time, Trump also has more support among the population, i.e. more live votes of U.S. voters. According to The Hill, Trump gains 66,852 votes, which actually exceeds 6 million. This is 4.8 million, almost 5 million votes more than Kamala Harris, who received 62 million votes.
На 4, перепрошую, мільйони голосів, 4,8, майже на 5 мільйонів більше, ніж у Камали Харріс, у неї 62 мільйони голосів.
And this is a new trend in support for Donald Trump, because we remember that in the 2016 election, when Trump defeated Hillary Clinton, he became president of the United States, but received fewer direct votes from Americans. Almost 63 million U.S. voters voted for him, and almost 66 million voted for Hillary Clinton, which is 3 million more than her opponent, the Democratic candidate. Trump has a strong advantage among Americans and is likely to use this in his rhetoric and during the election results announcement. He is expected to speak at his residence in Mar-a-Lago, where his supporters are preparing to celebrate. Kamala Harris, according to Democratic Party sources, does not plan to give a speech at this time. With every minute, with every hour, that the data on the websites of key American media outlets on vote counting is updated, Donald Trump's advantage is growing. Only the New York Times has so far maintained a restrained position, giving 248 to 214 in favor of Trump, meaning he has an advantage of more than 30 electoral votes over Kamala Harris, but is still far from 270. The New York Times is obviously waiting for the results of the vote count in Pennsylvania, one of the key 7 swing states where votes are still being counted.
Але ще до позначки 270 далеко. Нью-Йорк Таймс, очевидно, очікують на підсумки підрахунку голосів у Пенсильванії. Це той штат, який є дуже важливий серед 7 штатів ключових, що визначаються, так що хитаються, swinging states, так звані. Там
However, even in the states that are still undecided, Trump has an advantage. He has already won North Carolina and Georgia and is on track to win Pennsylvania, which could be the final nail in the Democrats' coffin and the decisive stone in Trump's overall result in this election. The Voice of America also gives a 248 to 214 margin in favor of Trump.
Бачимо, «Голос Америки» дає 248 на 214 на користь Трампа. І по цій мапі
In each state, we see that Republicans and Trump have more support in the center and south of the country, in particular Texas, Louisiana, Arizona, and Oklahoma. Democrats are mostly supported by residents of both coasts, the Pacific, California, Oregon, Washington, and Atlantic, including New England, New York, Maine, and Connecticut.
Голосують мешканці обох узбережжя. Це, зокрема, Тихоокеанське узбережжя Західне, це Каліфорнія, Орегон, Washington, Штати.
Currently, only Pennsylvania is grayed out. The votes are still being counted, and Trump is likely to get the 51% needed to win all 19 electoral votes from Pennsylvania. This is the model of American elections, where if one candidate wins a majority in a state, all electoral votes go to him.
51% для того, аби отримати усі 19 голосів виборників від Пенсильванії. Ну, така модель американських виборів, якщо, наприклад, один із кандидатів здобуває бодай...
Some may say that this is unfair, but this is exactly how the system has been working in the United States for hundreds of years, since the founding of this country. So, among the swing states, the votes have not yet been counted in Wisconsin and Michigan, where Kamala Harris was expected to win.
Зокрема, Вісконсині і Мічигані, це ті штати, де Камала Харріс розраховувала на перемогу і перевагу.
However, we can see that the news from Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, North Carolina, and even Pennsylvania is generally disappointing for Democrats. Politico also writes that Kamala Harris is close to defeat in the crucial Pennsylvania, where Donald Trump is leading. The final vote count is already underway, and it should be noted that 19 electoral votes from Pennsylvania is a significant piece of the electoral pie that both candidates are claiming. About 90% of Pennsylvania's registered electors have now been counted. And according to the latest data, Trump is ahead of Kamala Harris by 221,000 votes, which is approximately almost 3% of the vote. In Philadelphia, where Kamala Harris was expected to have strong support, only 37,000 votes remain to be counted, meaning the city will no longer significantly impact Pennsylvania's overall result. Election officials in the state report that approximately 200,000 ballots were received by mail on time, of which 266,000 have already been counted. But some of the remaining ballots may not be counted due to certain procedural inconsistencies. Therefore, postal voting is not likely to change the overall picture in Pennsylvania, and Trump's victory is almost in his pocket in this state. Pennsylvania decides everything here. Whoever wins Pennsylvania will likely win the election, especially Trump, who already holds a significant lead. We can already see Donald Trump's advantage in North Carolina and Georgia. The New York Times estimates the probability of a Republican candidate winning this election at 95%, which is an extremely high probability. They have a special section where there is a counter that determines the probability of a candidate's victory in percentage terms. Trump, since the closing of all polling stations by Ukrainian time, has actually been the favorite. At first, his advantage was about 80%, and now this counter on the New York Times website shows a probability of Donald Trump's victory of almost 95%. However, for now, the New York Times has paused in its predictions and determination of the winner. Both candidates are preparing for the final push of voting. CNN reports that Trump is extremely close to the 270 electoral votes needed to win this election. And The Hill, as already mentioned, actually states, Donald Trump's victory.